everyone for coming here tonight. It is really great to see everyone here, and of course there are functions happening in other offices simultaneously. And why we're here to officially launch LINK, L-I-N-K, our LGBTI Inclusion Network. Except I think Canberra's got theirs on Monday, but certainly Melbourne and Brisbane celebrating tonight as well. But before we start, I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which we are gathering, and we also pay our respects to their elders past and present, and extend that respect to the other Aboriginal people present here. I'm just going to talk for a little bit on diversity and inclusion, and as I hope you all know, it is core to our strategy and success as a business. And it's not simply a nice to have in my mind, and I hope in all of ours, it is a must have. And in particular, the more diverse we are and the more diversity of thought and in our ways of working, the more innovative and successful we will be. And of course, innovation can only exist and flourish when we have the freedom to be our true selves and bring who we are to work. And work must be a place where we feel safe and where we are able to be our best. And I was just saying before, that's, I guess, been a particular learning for me over the last few months. And before, I guess, I was always accepting and of the belief that change would happen naturally and that there was not a need to be active. But the biggest learning, as I said, for me was that you must be active and you can't accept these things passively, and it is actually for all of us to do more, not less. So in summary, I guess we can't be creative and innovative and a solutions-driven firm if we are anxious and worried and if we don't feel safe. So this is actually about encouraging an open and inclusive environment for all, and this is where it starts. So our focus is on actively promoting and creating inclusion and equality in a way that brings out the best in each other and in the work we do, and in particular in the relationships we have with ourselves and our clients and the broader community. And LGBTI inclusion sits very firmly as one of our key priorities within that strategy. And there's no shortage of evidence as to why this is important. In our 2015 What Counts Diversity and Inclusion survey, 96% of respondents chose to answer the optional question relating to sexual orientation and gender identity, and this compared to 89% of respondents in 2011 diversity survey. And over 8% of respondents to the 2015 survey question identified as LGBTI, and that was up from 6.5% in 2011. And also the feedback we've received and the conversations we've had internally with many of you and also externally with our clients and community partners all reinforce why it's important to better celebrate and enhance the LGBTI experience for those who identify as such and whether they choose to be out at work or not. And I received an email during the week in relation to a quote that many of you might have read from Billie Jean King, which was made in the context of, you might remember, the furor over the pay disparity between male and female tennis players, but which I guess is also equally important to LGBTI. And she said this: when you are the dominant group, others are very invisible to you. If you're the non-dominant group, or you know about the dominant group because you have to navigate. The men teed up the world, and we as women or people of colour or people with disabilities, we know a lot about the dominant group. We know more about them than they know about themselves. We have to navigate their world, and that is not fun every day. I want to change their hearts and minds to want the best for everyone. And so the first formal step in our journey was to join forces with Pride in Diversity, who are the preeminent advisor to Australian workplaces when it comes to LGBTI inclusion. They have the knowledge and expertise, the research and benchmarking to work with us on our objectives. And when we met with Pride in Diversity for the first time, they shared with us some very sobering statistics from their most recent workplace survey of over 7,000 respondents. 56% of LGB employees within organisations active in LGBTI inclusion stated that they still witness or have been the target of negative commentary or jokes. 66% of employees surveyed were not out to their manager. 44% of employees were not out at work because of feared repercussions, and only 50% agreed that they would respond honestly if asked about their partner family by a client, customer or key stakeholder. So after joining Pride in Diversity, our next step was to create our own workplace network, which brings us together here tonight. Link is the LGBTI inclusion network at KWM. It is also the LGBTI inclusion campaign of our European offices, and so reflects a connection with our other parts of the network. There is already a lot of information sharing between us and London, and also with China as we continue to build out a truly inclusive culture. In the first 2 weeks of Link's existence, over 16% of the firm joined up, and that number continues to grow. And I particularly would like to acknowledge the work of our very active Link working group, who were instrumental in driving a range of LGBTI inclusion activities. So watch this space and please take the opportunity to speak with any of them who are here tonight if you would like to become involved. But without rambling on too much, and without further ado, it is also my great pleasure to welcome our guest speaker. Sam Turner is the chair of Westpac's Global, which is Westpac's employee action group, and we're delighted that she could join us for our Link launch tonight to share her insights on Westpac's inclusive culture and what it has meant for Westpac as a business. So please join with me in welcoming Sam, and thank you all once again for coming tonight.